I'm a little bit nervous, which is why I'm posting this on Pissed Off Runaways, my collab channel. Well, I mean, this is really the only YouTube I have currently actively running right now. So I figured I would just make a little video for you guys about change. Because this change has been a really big part of my life recently, and change has been something that I've struggled with a lot, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. And for those of you that kind of are wondering what I'm talking about for change, I'm talking about my attitude, who I am as a person changing, my friends group, my look on certain things such as drugs and, things like that. Just like things that are really, you could get yourself in a lot of trouble for. And, as time has gone on and as I've really had time to think about it, I used to be so worried about change. That was one of my big worries, was change. Was worrying if I was going to be able to have the same things that I do, was wondering if I was going to be able to do the same things that I do, was wondering if the people that are here right now are going to be the people that stay with me. And I wanted everything so consistently. And I wanted things to be just the way that they were supposed to be, and I wanted things to be the way that they always had been, because it's easier that way, and because you don't have to worry about what other people think, and you just you surround yourself with these people over and over again, so you don't ever have to worry about impressing people or changing for somebody else, or which I realized isn't exactly true. Because what you realize is, as you grow up more, and as you change as a person, as you change who you are, and as you develop your own morals and your own characteristics, they don't match with the people sometimes. They don't match with those people that you've grown up with. They don't match with the people that have been there for you since day one. And I'm not saying that, if you have a really close friend, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to everybody. But it definitely happened to me a couple times throughout the past couple months, where people in my life who I thought were going to be there forever, they've changed, and I've changed, and my views have changed, and they've changed. And it's a little bit of a harder topic for me to talk about, because this change has brought me a lot of sadness and a lot of confusion, and me just not knowing what to do next, or me not knowing where I need to go next, or how to make things better, or how to positively go about this. Because when you have the change, you don't really know what to do next. You don't really know what's the next step, And so as you keep going, and you kind of learn, and you kind of figure out what works for you, and you kind of figure out, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for. And, people's views shift, and that's the mistake that I made, was I didn't stand up for my views. I didn't stand up for what I thought was moral, because the fact that I was changing, I knew that I didn't want to change. I knew that maybe things weren't going to be the same, that things were going to be scarier, that things were going to be a little bit harder, that maybe I was going to have to go out there and find some new people, and find some groups of friends that I was happy with, and finding activities that make me happy instead of the things that I've been doing over and over again, because it just becomes comfortable. And when you get too comfortable, you start to poke and risk, and those risks keep going, and they keep getting it more and worse and worse, and they get higher and higher risks, because you're tired of sitting in this comfortable area where you feel like you're okay, and you feel like you're good, and you're proud of yourself for how far you've come. But you just realize that all the stuff that you've been trying to hold up, and all the stuff that you've been trying to think, and all the stuff that you've been trying to say is what you want, is not what you want. And you realize that it's just what you want for other people, because you care about other people, and you want what other people want, and you want what other people think, and you want to do what other people say, because you want to make those people happy, because they've made you happy before. But what you realize is that by you carrying this on, and you telling yourself a lie, and telling yourself that this is what you believe, and telling yourself that this is what you want to do, you make yourself very, very, very unstable, and you make yourself really sad and not happy with yourself anymore. And you feel like you're not good enough, and you feel like you don't understand why it's so easy for everybody else to think the way that they do. But you don't understand that there are people that think just like you, but you don't put yourself out there enough to understand that they will come as long as you look for them. Because the best things in life you don't get to just have sitting there on a platter, because if they were sitting on a platter like that, you could just take them and walk away. And things would be a lot easier that way, but that's not how life works. And you have to fight for things, you have to look for things, and you have to discover who you are and what you want. And so when this change pops up and you're scared and you're shaking, you go, what am I going to do next? How am I going to handle this next? And you know that a big thing's coming up that you've never handled or never challenged yourself to do. But you realize that you're trying, and that's something that most people don't ever do. And so when you sit there and you tell yourself that change is something you're worried about, or change is something that you don't think you can do because you're comfortable and you're happy, but what you realize is that you're only living in ignorance. And when you live in ignorance, you just see this world that isn't there. And you live in a reality that tells yourself that you're doing okay, when really in your head, all you're doing is doing the same stuff that you've already achieved. And by doing all the same stuff you've already achieved, you're making yourself feel better. But you don't go anywhere if you're doing the same stuff over and over again. You have to do different things. You have to try different things. You have to be different people, meet different people, see different things, because that's what develops you as a person. And so when people tell me that change is scary, or that I've changed, I agree. I do agree. I agree 100%. I agree that my views have changed, that who I am has changed. And I'm not going to deny that anymore. And I'm tired of sitting here saying that I'm the same old kid that I was a couple months ago, because I wasn't, because I've gone through stuff, because I've tried different things, because I'm putting myself out there for the first time in a very long time. And so I would ask you that if you feel comfortable, or make sure that that's what you want. Make sure it's not just for everybody else, because ultimately nobody's going to be there for you. You're going to be sitting there by yourself. Whether it's family, whether it's people in your life, sometimes they're not going to be there, no matter what circumstances, no matter how close you guys are. Sometimes they cannot be there for you, because when you sit alone at night and you look up at your ceiling and you think, am I doing enough? Am I okay? Am I the person I want to be? That's all by yourself. And if you answer no, you have to live with that by yourself. And you can't go back and change it, and you can't try to change things that already happened. But what you can do is you can change how you think of things and how you want to do things, and you can change the now. You can change things now. You don't have to sit there and worry and tell yourself that you will fail, because if you do fail, at least you're making a step in the right direction. At least you're learning that that's not what works for you, but a lot of other stuff is out there, and a lot of things will work for you. But you just have to try. And so I ask you, when you have an opportunity for change today, maybe it's not something you want, maybe it's something that you're scared of, or maybe it's something that you don't really think is going to work. Why don't you give it a shot? Why don't you push yourself a little bit longer? Why don't you push yourself a little bit further? Why don't you climb up? Why don't you achieve something a little bit more than what you already have? Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good day.